Hello and welcome back for the next chapter of our book that we're doing for Reading for Pleasure. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Okay, so the next chapter is I Am the Space Daddy. When I realised I'd gone all the way to the Gobi Desert just to watch Florida Kirby going to space, I felt like I'd died. Not died as in real life, but died as in a game. When you're running along nicely on level 40, having all sorts of level 40 type adventures, and bleep, you're dead with no spare lives, and you have to go right back to the beginning and go through all the boring bits all over again. While Florida and the other kids were looking around a real rocket, we dads had to sit down and fill in forms full of questions about our children. I can't believe how much parents are supposed to know about their kids, like their date of birth, for instance. In fact, I was all right with that one because I still had Florida's passport, so I just copied her birthday out of that. Oh dear, said Mr. Drax. Here's a daddy who doesn't know his own daughter's birthday. I know Samson 2's birthday, said Samson 1, and one day the world will know it too. It will be a national holiday in our country. I do sometimes forget Max's, said Monsieur Martinet, but he's too well brought up to say so. The birthday question turned out to be the easy one. There were questions about vaccinations, allergies, and what childhood illnesses she'd had. I did remember that she'd been off school a lot in year 6, but I couldn't remember why. All the other dads were ticking things off and filling things in. I tried to see what Max's dad was writing so I could copy, but he caught me looking and put his hand over his form so I couldn't see. Childhood illnesses? I couldn't think of one childhood illness, except that when Florida was talking about celebrities earlier, she'd mentioned chronic something. I thought if I wrote chronic, it might help me remember the other word. That was it, chronic obesity. Dr. Drax was looking over my shoulder. She said, chronic obesity? Are you sure? Excuse me while I have a sip of my coffee. Then luckily I remembered that obesity means fat. I said, not chronic obesity, sorry. I crossed out obesity and put arthritis. It looked quite convincing written down. Dr. Drax sniffed quite hard, then took the form off me and looked at it. I see under vaccinations you've ticked yellow fever and malaria. I ticked quite a few on the safe side. Oh, and dengue fever. Has Florida travelled a lot? Yes, I think so. I think she has because she has. She's been to Florida, hence the name, and we all went to Enchantment Land in Southport in year 6. When she was in year 6. Southport in England? Yes. Only you don't normally need vaccinations if you're travelling within England. Not normally, no, I said. But I say, why take the risk? You can't be too careful. That's the Digby family motto. After the paperwork, it got worse. We played golf. Golf? The other dads couldn't have been more excited if you'd given them invisibility cloaks. Golf while Florida was looking around a rocket. Golf while she was getting ready to be a taikonaut. Golf? If you think Monopoly is boring, you should try golf. If you were playing golf inside World of Warcraft, what skills would you need? Running skills? No. Sword skills? No. Cunning? No. Wisdom? You are joking. The object of the game is to put a ball in a hole. Tidying up skills, that's what you'd need. Tidying up skills and a lot of time on your hands. A game? I suppose it feels like a game if you're actually one of the undead. We pootled around this golf course in 2 electric buggies while they all talked about their averages and handicaps and told stories about times when they'd put other little balls in different little holes. I taught Samson 2 to play golf some years ago, said Samson 1, as we lined up to take our first shots. Such a practical way to learn about the interaction of physical forces and so on. For instance, if I use a driver to tee off, a driver is one of those golf sticks for hitting the ball with. Apparently they've got different names, like wedge and iron and stuff. Anyway, Samson 1 teed off with a driver and explained about how the parabola of the ball in flight was related to the swing of the driver as he hit the ball. I wasn't really listening. I just hit the ball as hard as I could. It flew down the grass. I shouted, yes! The others just stared at me and Monsieur Martinet said, why are you so happy? I hit it loads further than him. I'm winning. Samson 1 laughed. But you've hit it too far. It's gone past the hole and into the rough. I sort of assumed that the point of the game was to hit the ball as far as you could. Hadn't known about the holes. Extraordinary, said Monsieur Martinet, that one could reach adulthood without knowing how golf is played. I said, yeah, but do you know how World of Warcraft is played? I bet you don't. Monsieur Martinet sort of squinted, then said, golf is a game that teaches many of the qualities needed for success. For instance, decision-making and attention to detail. Computer games, on the contrary, are for idiots. Or teenagers, said Eddie Xanadu. I realised I'd said the wrong thing. I tried to recover a bit of ground by saying, let's see if you do better then. I'm not sure how dadly that sounded, to be honest. The others all got their ball onto the flat bit of grass around the hole. I had to put mine out of the long grass. Get mine out the long grass. Dr. Drax came with me and told me I should chip the ball with a niblick. I was quite excited by that suggestion. I thought a niblick might be some slim pond-dwelling goblin, which is what it sounds like. Disappointingly, it's just another golf stick. It does work, though. It knocked the ball straight up into the air and it plopped down on the green bit. Well done, said Dr. Drax. There's no feeling on Earth as satisfying as dropping the ball down just so like that. Maybe not on Earth. I bet there are much better feelings in space, though. Yes, she said. You've certainly given your daughter a great opportunity. Yes, I've given Florida a great opportunity, and I've given myself a niblick. The other dads all lined up ready to tee off again. Samson 1 drove his ball down the fairway in another lovely parabola. I kept hold of my niblick. Oh, you can't tee off with a niblick, smiled Dr. Drax. I'm not teeing off. I chipped the ball into the back of the golf buggy. Now look what you've done, snarled Monsieur Martinet. I've done, I said. A stroke of genius. When you drive up on the green in the buggy, my ball will go to the green in the back of the buggy and I'll just chip it out again. You can't do that. You can't send your ball round the golf course in a car. Why not? The rules. Golf has rules, lots of rules. That's the beauty of the game. Samson 1 said, logic says he can. If we think of the golf buggy as a hazard, well then balls do go into hazards, sand traps and ponds and so on. When you say hazard to normal people, they think of ice on the road or fog or sudden invasions or night elves. Golfers think you mean sand or a puddle with a duck in it. Hazard, said Monsieur Martinet, do not get up and take the balls right up to the hole, do they? No, but you can't interfere with a hazard, and if this hazard happens to be heading to the green, then the ball will have to go with it. You could tell that Monsieur Martinet was unhappy about this by the way he started waving his 5-iron around his head and yelling about how childish I was. I'm childish. I'm not the one getting all stressed out about a game. Honestly, grown-ups talk about teenagers spending too much time online and taking games too seriously. A game of golf seems to take about 3 years, and they talk about it like the next stroke is going to save the world. Yes, childish. What kind of father are you? No wonder your daughter is so complicated when you have so little regard for rules. I looked at him. He really thought he was a level 40 monster, and I was some sort of level 7 baby warrior who'd run away if he snarled at me. But I had my mental elixir. I let it fill my brain, and then I engaged. You think you're a good dad? What kind of parent lets his child go off into space while he plays golf? Monsieur Martinet looked a bit confused when I said that, and so did the other dads, until Dr. Drax said, Aren't you doing exactly that, Mr. Digby? Well, yes, I was, but I knew that my dad would never do that, let alone my mum, I said. In my school, my child's school, when they go on a trip, a responsible parent goes with them, even if it's only to the museum or the art gallery. In the New Strand shopping centre, they're not even allowed to go into the newsagent without an accompanying adult. Why aren't you doing that here? You mean you'd like to go to space with the children? Asked Dr. Drax. Yes, of course I would. But they were all staring at me. Monsieur Martinet rolled his eyes and muttered, Of course he should be with the children. He is a child, tall but a child. Dr. Drax held up her hands. I think, she said, I am having one of my great ideas. We waited to see what it was. A daddy in space. I will send one of you to space, but which one? I said, Me, I'll go. Don't be ridiculous, snarled Monsieur Martinet. The job needs a real leader. I'll go. It might be better to have someone capable of understanding the science, said Samson 1. Someone like me. Let's have a little competition, said Dr. Drax. I can see from the way you play golf that you're all very competitive, and you are all so different. Monsieur Martinet imposes a strong discipline. Samson 1 believes in education. I certainly do. Dr. Xanadu is very indulgent or generous, and Mr. Digby is... She looked at me as though she was trying to remember why she specially selected me. And then she said, Mr. Digby is available. When you say competition, said Mrs. Xanadu, simple. You'll all do the space training with your children, and the one who proves to be the best taikonaut. No, not the best taikonaut, the best father. He will go to space. Yes, I'd really levelled up this time. It was like when you get to the next stage of a game and the whole landscape changes, and it's full of new dangers and different thrills. I'd levelled up from a round of golf to space exploration. I will be the winner, said Monsieur Martinet. When it comes to winning, I wrote the manual. Me, said Samson 1, I have the brains. Me, said Mr. Xanadu, because I want to, and I do tend to get what I want. That, said Dr. Drax, is for the children to decide. We'll let them vote. I didn't say anything. I knew it was going to be me. I was dying to hear all about the rocket. The minute Florida came through the door, I said, So what was it like, the rocket? She said, It's all right. That's it. Your first day on a real rocket and that's all you can say. It's all right. No. What else? I'm starving. I remember the bit in Talk to Your Teen about using fiddly food to get teenagers to talk. I made a stir fry and said, let's use real chopsticks. I don't know how to use chopsticks. There's instructions on the packet. They're in Chinese. Just try. It made the meal last a long time, but it didn't improve the conversation because we were concentrating so hard on the chopsticks. In the end, I just said, well, it doesn't matter if you don't tell me what the rocket is like anyway, because I'm going on it too. And I told her all about the competition. Finally, Florida began to communicate. She said, ha 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 ha. What's so funny? You're a joke. You are joking, aren't you? You don't really think you're going to win. I might. Liam, have you got a bike? I've got a Cherokee Chief. Is it a fast bike? It's got 23 gears. Could it win the Grand National? No. Why not? Because it's not a horse. And you won't win, Dad, the dad competition, because you're not a dad. True. On the other hand, I'm not a natural elf warrior either, but the Wanderlust warriors rule the floor in World of Warcraft. Liam, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm saying pretending sometimes works, like at Little Stars. Okay, so help me pretend to be your dad. All you have to do is call me Dad. Okay, I'll call you Dad. Thanks. Provided that you call me your little princess. My little what? Is that my... It's what my real name... It's what my real dad calls me. I miss being called princess. Please. I'll try. And we will continue this story when you're back in school next week. Look forward to seeing you on Monday. Take care. Bye.